So in this video, we're going to show the capabilities of PowerCentral's Advanced Planner. To illustrate this example, we're going to take a very simple example of, for example, icing. We have semi-sweet icing that is made in batches in pounds. And as you can see in the bill of material, we're making the icing with some very simple ingredients like heavy cream and chocolate. So we're using half a pound of heavy cream and half a pound of chocolate to make 1 pound of icing. And note that we're using the Drum1 resource line to make that icing. And in this particular company, they simultaneously make the icing and then feed that into 2 packaging lines. One is a 16-ounce packaging line, 24 count. Another one is an 8-ounce packaging line, 24 count. So the production for the icing is happening either continuously or in batching process, and it's continuously being fed into two packaging lines. And you can see the bill of material for the 16-ounce 24 count. In the bill of material, you will see that they're using the icing that is being produced upstream in batches, and it also needs its own packaging material. And you can also see that you're using a different VFFS1 line to do the packaging. And similarly, you have the 8-ounce packaging line, 8-ounce 24 count item. And if you look at the bill of material there, you're using the exact same icing that you typically produce upstream, and then it needs its own packaging material. And as you can see, it's using a different production or packaging line, VFFS2, to make the casings. So, essentially in this company, you typically produce all 3 of them in the same time. You produce this in batches, and then you feed it into 2 packaging lines. So now let's get over to the advanced planning system. So here in the orders pane, you can see that there is, let me increase the size of the screen a little bit. Okay, so here in the orders pane, you can see that you have the icing, the 8-ounce 24 count. We have about 800 of them due in a sales order on the 26th. And we can see that the 24 count 16-ounce cases, 1,000 of them are due on the 25th. And over here in the stock levels, we know from looking at this colors, which is our color-coded red over here, that we do not have any of these 24 count 8-ounce or 16-ounce in stock. So, but the good news is that we have all the ingredients, whether it is the heavy cream or the film or chocolate, we are going to have all of them in stock as of the 18th, because on the 18th, we're going to get a bunch of POs that are going to get delivered to us. So in the purchases pane, we see all the POs in the system and when they're actually due, and we can see the impact of those POs as soon as they're received, the inventory going up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wear the hat of an assembly order or a production manager, and I'm going to create the production assembly order for the 16-ounce and the 8-ounce. So I create the new assembly order, and as I know that I need to produce at least 1,000 of these 16-ounce cases, and I'm going to actually make them in the 23rd, because I know that by that time I will have enough raw material to produce it. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the assembly order. So there you have it. We have the assembly order for 1,000, and we're now going to create the assembly order for the 8-ounce. So I'm going to create a new assembly order for the 8-ounce. I'm going to also create that on the 23rd. And as you can see over here, actually it's not 100 we're trying to make 800, because we have a demand of 800 over there. Okay, all right. So we know that if we make these 2 assembly production orders, we're going to be able to deliver these. So these things turn from red to green. Okay, now at this point of time, we know that the icing, we're going to have to make it, and we can see that we're going to be short of 1,400 pounds. So we're just going to click these 2, and we're going to say create a new assembly project, because we want to make upstream production orders. And as you can see, in order to make 1,000 of these 16-ounce cases and 800 of these 8-ounce cases, it's suggesting that it needs to produce 1,400 pounds of the icing, and it can use the Drum1 resource group to make that. And you can see the color difference. These are all firm orders that are actually already in the Business Central, and the yellow one is the order that's not yet in the system, but it's suggesting that we make this. And this gives the ability for the production manager to be able to, create the assembly order. And, let me just put this on the 22nd, but essentially I'm able to even change the, quantity. For example, if I know that I need to make batches of 500, so instead of making 1400, I can make 1500. So I can make these kind of changes as a production manager and be able to be able to create the assembly order. So I'm going to go ahead and create the assembly order, at which point of time you can see that this assembly order is feeding into these two assembly orders. And I'm not going to be left with any of the icing after I'm done with this production order. And that's kind of what I want. This also gives the ability for the production manager to tinker around and do a lot of what if scenarios sometimes, because sometimes maybe, hey, I cannot make 1400 of this. Maybe I make it in 500-pound batches. So I can make 3 batches of 1500 for 1500 pounds. What if I do that? If I do that, then what is going to end up happening is that, let me see why I can't do that. Hold on a second, refresh the data. Select the production lines. Okay. All right. I can see that. Okay. So now I can do a couple of, play with different parameters here. So if I right click on this and if I do the assembly order and say, for example, I can only make it in batches of 500. So I can make 1500. So if I do that, you can see that this number, what this is telling us is that once the production order is made, I'm going to be left over with 100 pounds of icing. And in this company, that's not good because they don't want to leave any loose icing outside of packaging. They want to produce it and basically be able to package it almost immediately. So we don't want to have this 100 of these additional pounds left over. So what I can do is I can either increase this the number of the the 16-ounce packets. Instead of making 1,000 of them, I can choose to make 1,100 of them, and that'll essentially consume out any of the leftover icing. So these are the kind of scenario plannings that I can do. And if I try to do overdo things, like say, for example, I get a little overzealous as a production manager, instead of making 1,500, I make, 10,000 pounds, then it'll clearly tell me, hey, buddy, you cannot make 10,000 pounds because you're going to be short on the heavy cream and you're going to be short on the Dow chocolate. So, so it'll give me very clear indication. And if I truly want to make 10,000 pounds of cream, that's fine, but I got to involve my procurement manager to be able to acquire that much of, procure the heavy cream and chocolate accordingly. So anyhow, I'm going to go back and put this to 1,500 pounds like originally planned. So now I have this grouping over here. So I'm making 1,500 pounds and I'm making 800 pounds of heavy cream, the 8-ounce packets and 1,100 cases of this 16-ounce cases. Any given point of time, I can see that these 3 orders are related to each other. Maybe you cannot see the very light yellow rounding on it, just to kind of show that these things are related. But if I right click on any one of these and say that show this assembly project, it'll show me that, hey, this is the upstream icing, and any icing that's produced here is going into this, downstream packaging lines. Okay, and that's the whole advantage of being able to use this advanced planner. You're thinking in terms of the problem. You're not like navigating 15 different screens in the Business Central. It's automatically showing in a single screen all the orders, all the production orders, all the purchase orders, all the stock levels in one nice screen. And you're not like going back and forth and interacting with the data. It seamlessly changes when you change a quantity over here, it automatically seamlessly updates the data in the ERP. So that's the power of this advanced planner. The next feature I want to showcase over here is how we deal with firm orders versus forecast. So I want to show what happens. So here we see that there's actually a 2024 Q1 forecast. Let me go to Business Central and show you that we have a demand forecast in 2024 Q1. This is a native feature in Business Central. And here I made a very simple entry over here for the 8-ounce icing. I put 1,500 pounds, 1,500 cases that are, we expect the forecast to be for 126. So if I now go back and enable this forecast, you can see that I now have that 1,500 is broken down into there's 800 of these firm orders, and this 700 is coming from that forecast. It doesn't show 1,500 because 1,800 of the 1,500 is already realized sales orders. So it shows that we're remaining 700 that we need to plan for. So, that's how sales forecasting works. And the nice thing is it shows how much we are short on. So we know that we're now short on 700 of the 8-ounce cases. So I, again, put my production manager's hat on, and I basically say, okay, instead of making 800, I should probably be making 1,500. But if I'm making 1,500 of these assembly orders, then I'm going to be 350 pounds short on the icing. Okay, so let me change this 1,500 to 1,850. So let me change that, 1,850. And at that point of time, I would have consumed all the icing that I produced into these particular casing, and I have all the raw ingredients to meet that particular demand, and I'm good to go.